Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chat, Talk and Chill. It's your boy Phenyo Selinda. For those of you that are watching for the first time, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button down below so that you will be notified of any latest posts that we'll be making. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Phenyo_SA23. And on TikTok, you can find us at Chat, Talk and Chill. And on Rumble, you can find us at P Crazy News. For today's guest, I'll be having wonderful two politicians that will be joining me for today, and we'll be discussing on what Africa needs to become in the near future, specifically in the context of African politics and international politics. I have Evans Mabato, who is representing the EFF-SC, and I have Lucky Thendo, who is representing SASCO, which is also part of the ANC. So as we're about to begin, guys, please drop a comment and tell us what you think on today's topics. And I'm going to give it over to them. Evans and Lucky, welcome to the show. I wanted to ask you guys, seeing that I couldn't ask you, I want to ask you now, what do you believe in terms of politics, Evans?
All right, thank you, Marada, for the question. My name is Evans Mabato. I grew up in Sishiwo, Zone 1, the home of my CIC, Julius Lumalema. I became interested in politics in grade 7. But, when I learned my first political class about what is politics, I realized that I participated in politics in grade R because I've already practiced that. I always wanted to advocate that who must get what at what time, understand? So in grade R, I remember we used to be very active. We could be class reps, understand? Imagine at that small age, understand? So
you were involved in leadership.
Yes, you understand? So I now realize that actually I participated in politics when I was in grade R. And I remember when we were graduating, I was asked, I said when I grow up I want to be the premier.
The premier?
Yes, having that my father as well was an activist. Where I'm staying is Zone 1. It was a bush, and my father had to team up with friends. They go there, and they claim the land,
expropriate the land
without compensation.
Yes.
Now it's a land people are staying, are enjoying, are having a nice time there. So I can say it comes from where I come from.
Okay then.
So in terms of my belief, I am a socialist. I believe in socialism. I believe in the revolution. I believe in the rolling mass actions. I believe in all
taking actions, yes,
from the left political practices.
Yes. All right then. Lucky, what do you stand for and what do you believe in?
Hi everyone, my name is Thendo, Mabato. And using I'm representing SASCO, I would correct that very fast. I'm not here a representative of SASCO, but I'm a member of SASCO. Personally, I think I've not been a politician since I grew up. I'm not a politician even today. I am a political science student. Honestly, leadership, I won't say I grew up in a disadvantaged background, and I wouldn't say that I grew up participating in politics. It's just that on the nature of where I schooled or where I was bred and brewed, this type of things came in easy for people like me. I was fortunate enough to represent the high-octane department in debating, and more fortunate enough to even to be part of the national team. And I've been debating since grade 7. That is something that I've been doing. I was the president of my high school. There is the SRC president of my high school. On top of that, I was the deputy student prefect.
Oh wow! So you've been in positions of leadership.
And now here in university, what do I stand for? I stand for the point of you are the change that you see tomorrow. As young people, we have been blaming the past for our actions today. We have been blaming racism, the unjust colonial era, for the things that are happening today. So I stand to the fact of, yes, we might want to hold them accountable, but let's not dwell there. We are the change that we see tomorrow.
Be the change that you want to see in the world. As we are continuing on, as you've heard, guys, some of you are not subscribed, especially 80% of you are not subscribed to the channel. We'll be right back after the ad break and we'll continue further on.
Welcome to Chat Talk Chill podcast with Phenyo Selinda.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube and on Rumble.
As we come back from the ad break, for those of you that are watching this show, I hope that you guys enjoy it, and I hope that you guys are vibrant and you engage with us as we'll be continuing on. As I'm going to be looking forward to speaking to you, Evans. Evans, if you don't know, he represents the decolonized, defenders of the decolonized education of Africa. What do these people actually believe in?
We represent the idea that the education in Africa needs to be decolonized.
Decolonized?
So
in what way?
Defend the idea, because if you can recall the history of Africa, they started with colonizing our minds, and even to date our minds are still colonized. So we advocate for the decolonization of curriculum education in Africa. It's very broad, my brother, but I guess you get the idea that what is it all about, you understand? So what I'm trying to, when your questions comes unexpected.
Keep saying, man. Keep going. Keep going. It's okay. Keep going. Start from where you made a mistake and keep going.
When we talk about the decolonized education, we talk about the education that will value African values, the education that will be rooted in African perspectives, the education that will be African. Because now the education that we have is anti-African and is systematically oppressing us. So that's why we seek to advocate and represent the idea to decolonize education in Africa.
Decolonize education in Africa. Lucky, I want to ask your opinion on this one. Do you think Africa would be Africa if it wasn't for colonialism? Taking into consideration the industrial revolution that was brought by the Europeans when they came within Africa, taking into consideration the development that took place when the Europeans came into Africa, would Africa be Africa if it wasn't for the Europeans?
You know, Africa will always be Africa without Europeans. Africa will always be Africa without other countries. That is something that you won't take away from Africa. But I love the fact that you say developments that came with. They came, Africa was there. They left developments, they are leaving Africa, and Africa is still Africa.
Still remaining
so, to answer you, I wouldn't say Africa wouldn't be Africa without Americans or the colonizers, right? Africa has always been Africa. It's just that it grew. This is why we say it is a thing of development. It's not a thing of foundation. Africa has always been Africa. I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly, because your question says, do you think Africa would be Africa without colonization? Personally, with my own opinion and my own point of view, I still believe and I still stand at the fact that Africa would be Africa without colonization.
Then how would we have had the cars that we have, the tall buildings, the architect?
That is something that you also need to consider. Look at this. We have the crown of Africa. Where is it right now? It's in America. Where was it done? In Africa, right? So to show that we do not, it's not that we don't have it. We have manufacturing skills. It's just that at some points we can't reach to that level. There are certain things that are produced in South Africa. Why don't we look at that and say, this make Africa? We are not made by the cause we have. Definitely we are not made by that, and definitely we can't leave and say that's what that makes Africa. Africa is Africa because of the crops. Africa is Africa because of the farming. Other countries don't have what we have. Does that make them non-American or whatever they are? So, looking at your question at this point, I feel like you just asked me, you're trying to make me say that racism or colonization is the reason
Was an
why
important
Africa
part
was an important part.
of
I won't lie.
building Africa.
At that point, if I say this on camera, I'll be arrested. I will be arrested and they won't be going back. I will be arrested. Because you can't justify colonization. You can't justify apartheid.
I'm not necessarily justifying.
I'm not saying you are.
Yes.
You can't justify colonization. You can't justify apartheid. You can't justify slavery. But you can say that at least, not even at least, that came and made us to develop to where we are today. Who knew that South Africans can fight for what is rightfully theirs if it was not for apartheid? Apartheid came and gave black people the power they have today to say that you have a voice, use it to fight for what you have. We have people like Evans today who sit here and tell us that white people are oppressing him. And I still ask him this question, but you still leave to the white man's system. Why don't you start a system of your own? Of the black people. Of the black people. Let's look at what happened in 1996, 1994?
1994, yes.
What happened there? Those people said, we have been living in the white man's system. Let's break it, right? They broke it and started theirs. Why can't Evans break it and start his? I'm not saying it's justified that we should live in a white man's system. Let me finish. I'm not being delusional. No. I love my Dululu. I love my Dululu. I'm very Dululu and I love being Dululu. But honestly speaking, we can't take away the roots of Africa and say Africa is created by colonization and apartheid. Africa is Africa on its own. And I can still say this. Most of the other countries or the continents can't be who they are without Africa. They depend on us. They farm here. They take the minerals here. The car that is produced there in Japan,
they take the steel from here.
It's from here, you see. So we can't say Africa is Africa because of them. But we should say Africa is to make them.
Oh, that's powerful. So Evans, I want to ask you this then. Do you think then, based on what he said, that Africa is Africa regardless whether the West or the Europeans are infiltrating it? Do you think that democracy is an African concept?
All right. Let me start from some of the remarks like he has touched on. Yes, it's right. The whole world depends on Africa, but we still have Africa that is poor. We still have Africa that is suffering from hunger. We still have Africa that is suffering from malnutrition.
Yes.
You understand? So we have a situation where Africa was colonized, and as a result, it's not yet free. Because Africa does not have what we call economic freedom.
Economic freedom. The one that Muammar Gaddafi wanted.
Yes, the economic freedom fighters exist to liberate Africa, not South Africa. That is why people bash at it when it says we need one state of Africa, one United States of Africa, one currency, one president, one parliament, one economic system, one free movement. One central bank, you understand? So it seeks to advocate some of the principles that Muammar Gaddafi wanted to achieve. You understand? So coming back to your question, democracy is a Western thing.
Western ideology.
Yes. But Africans did practice their own. Actually, the one that we're practicing now is more based on the Western
ideology.
But Africans did practice democracy.
Such as like Congo and all countries like that.
We did have democracy in Africa. Is that now the political system in Africa is colonial, so it embraces the Western democracy. So I can say the one that you view now, it's a Western democracy.
The Western democracy.
Yes.
Then, so if so, that democracy is not an African concept.
Yes.
Why did black people fight for it? Why did Africans fight for democracy?
Is that a question to me?
Yes. It's both of you.
All right. Can I state something before you go far? You, comrades, mislead people, yes, because the struggle against apartheid was not only for the political freedom or democracy that we have now. It was the economic thing.
Freedom, yes.
They were fighting for the economic freedom. They were fighting for Mandela was fighting for the nationalization of banks, mines. Mandela was fighting for the expropriation of land without compensation. But
then some of the principles got lost within the ANC.
Look at Codesa. The Codesa minutes, where are they? Why was Chris Hani killed at that time? So the Codesa negotiations it was for the main idea to polish and quell the situation at that time, because it was revolution in South Africa at that time. So they outsmarted us by giving us the politics,
the democracy that we have, yes,
and denied us the economic freedom. So it comes back to the saying that the politics without economics is like a symbol without substance. You understand? So we live in a South Africa where we do have a power to vote, but we don't have power to our economics. That is why the EFF exists. It exists to seek for the economic freedom in our lifetime. You understand? So, like, you are not an interviewer.
I'm not an interviewer.
Yes.
But wait, I'm not fighting.
Yes.
But you can't say that people in South Africa or people in Africa don't have the power to their economy. That's one lie that you need to change, right?
It's not a
but
lie.
it is a lie.
I mean,
Because if you're going to say that, what then happens to the policies that were created during when Nelson Mandela began, right? The triple BEE. Do you know what that is, right? That is something that was created to give black people, or should I say, African people, the power to their economy.
Okay, then.
I'm not being
the economy is in
but
charge.
guys,
The people who are in charge of the economy are few white families, and they're still benefiting from that BEE through making black people their friends. You understand? That thing was a apartheid. You know apartheid?
Yeah, a curtain.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a curtain, a system made for white people to still benefit from the back door. We still have a lot of black people who are struggling.
Okay.
We still have a lot of black people
And
who
they are saying that
can't
white
access
people
this
are not
economy.
struggling.
You understand? So even the president of now, Cyril Ramaphosa, I'm not scared to say this, was a person who benefited from the BEE, benefiting the white people as a curtain. We're not even sure that Ramaphosa has money. That money that he has in his pocket, we are not sure if it's his.
But
because
then,
he has headless. If he had money, Ramaphosa, why did he seek for the CR17 campaign funding? Why?
That's very powerful.
So the BEE system was used to become a curtain so that white people can still benefit from behind. So Lucky is speaking from the myopic view. We have a giraffe view. We know this politics. We've been there. And we're told by people who are capable of the political system of South Africa.
Let's hear Lucky's opinion. What do you
Let me be honest with you. Let's start from basics, right? When freedom was fought for, it was fought for black people to have equal say to white people, right? This is where the Constitution came into play. Let me give you a background as a law student on this. Back in the days, the courts did not have a say. The courts were governed by parliament. What the parliament says, the court does. As a judge, I couldn't tell the people what I believe I couldn't change the laws. But now that we are in this constitution, the court has every right to interpret the law in a way it finds suit, right?
No, don't lie.
I'm not lying.
They
The
were
court,
the same system.
it was not the
The
same
courts
system.
were representing the laws of apartheid. Yes.
Let me
The laws were passed by Bottom. The laws were passed by the church. And the court will represent and interpret those laws.
Listen,
Still the same.
Let's hear
Let me finish
what
this
she
because
says.
he's speaking from a mindset of somebody who wants to fight. And I'm speaking of
I'm
somebody.
not fighting.
Listen, I'm speaking from
There's
somebody
different
who's
things.
a okay. That's
hear
why
him
we
first.
say you won't understand
I'm
literal
not
terms.
fighting.
Let's hear him.
Events, let's not throw shade because I can throw shade. Because there are literal terms that you won't understand. There are certain points that we say he's a politician, right? And he thinks the political way. There are people who are scholars who think the way of hierarchy, learning things and applying it to the community. We learn things, we learn the history. We don't assume the history. We don't go by hearsays. Courts back in the days did not have a say of the rulings of their own. But nowadays, a court can say, this law is unconstitutional. Even if Parliament says this law itself is unconstitutional. That's why we're going to refer you back to where you're coming from. This is why now Parliament, before they release a gazette or before they release a law, it goes through the courting system because the court knows better, right? This is where I'm going to answer your question that do you think that freedom that was fought for back in the days was enough, or was it for the freedom of
few people?
Right.
I think
My
we
answer,
have to give reference.
I'm going to give reference to this, ne? Let's look at this. When Nelson Mandela fought for freedom, what happened back in the days? Women couldn't work, right? Black people couldn't own companies. Black people couldn't start businesses. Black people couldn't be owners or big people in management, right? That's the practicality of it, right? Events? Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Black
I'm not
people
wrong.
Black people could own businesses in the township.
Oh,
in the
okay.
villages.
In the
So,
villages where they come from, the small
They
businesses,
could own.
small enterprises,
They
they
could
could
own
own.
even big
Okay.
companies. But
Give me one black person who owned a big company during
we are
apartheid.
talking about,
Okay.
listen, I'm giving
Let's
you
give me that example.
We're talking about
Somebody pass me my
this
phone.
This guy from
I think we are going to speak facts now.
this
Pass me my
guy
phone.
from Soweto called Maponya. Maponya used to own
David Maponya.
Yes, Maponya used to own businesses during that time. Yes, so we cannot be misled.
Okay, you're speaking about Maponya Mall. Do you mean the Maponya Mall that was
No,
that?
I'm speaking about
The business is own. David Maponya is the own. Isn't he the owner of
Maponya
Maponya?
was a businessman during apartheid.
You see? So let's talk about this. Phenyo. Policies like the BEE came in after the fall of apartheid, right? Fighting of apartheid, right?
The affirmative action.
Right? This is where we find the RDP policies.
The residential development policy.
Right? This is where we find corridor laws, right? This is where we find employment equity acts. This is where we find the BEC, what do you call it? BCE, what?
BCE, Basic Conditions of
Employment Act, right?
Yes.
And if you are a person like Events who's going to come here and come and state that black people don't have access to the economy and they give that line, that's so wrong with you. Let me finish. Don't interrupt me. This was created for black people. This is where it comes. Let me tell you from somebody who knows operations of businesses. As a company, if I have black people in my company who have businesses outside, I am allowed to outsource those businesses. There's this thing in business enterprises called outsourcing. I outsource them to render a service to the company and I pay them. Right? This is where we find NW. NW does not provide you with tissues, but it outsourced an employee. Right? An employee who had a business to what? To venture out, to develop. And this is where the criteria even starts. They even started by saying black people first. As a black person, you have access to government funds that say we're promoting your business. On its own, that is a milestone. I'm not saying we have reached the point of saying, yes, black people are in power, black people have been equipped. No, that's a lie. I would be lying if I say that. But we are at the verge of saying that the freedom, the democracy that we fought for is working for everyone. As a black child, Evans is sitting in an institution of higher learning, right?
Because of democracy.
Of that democracy.
Yes.
And at this point, the same Evans, he's sitting here. I'm not saying you are. You might find that he's benefiting from a government scheme, right? A government scheme that at this point does not have sources of funding because it was waiting for you to pay back. But now you can't pay back because you said what? We fought for education, for free education. Let me finish.
You've been talking, sure.
You have also been talking. Let me finish this and say that you can't say that black people don't have access to their economy while they have so many benefits. I can promote your business. It starts. How many black businesses are starting in South Africa and they're booming? Let's look at More Fire. It's a black owned. There is no white person behind it, right? Wait. There is no white person behind it. Right? Let's go to Batu. Let's even go to Batu.
Yes,
Batu. A very big brand, right? Is there a white person behind it? So we can't keep saying that white people are behind everything. Now let's give it in simple terms. When black people are leading, what happened to KMPG? A black person was leading. Let's go to VBS. A black person was given a seat. I'm not saying black people are wrong. I'm not saying let's not give black people positions because they are corrupt. But I'm saying the mentality we have been having as black people is that white people have wronged us and we need to punish white people to benefit. The mentality starts there of you bringing yourself down. You need to wake up as a black person and say that white child that is sitting there has no effect on me. She's living her life the same way you are living. You are not living to your grandfather's benefits. You're not living to your grandparents' effects. What they did back then, they're living now. We can't hold the current leading white people accountable for what happened during apartheid. That is unrealistic because there won't be development. If we say that, we are bringing ourselves down. Events. I'm going to tell you this and I'm going to tell you this in front of the camera. Until you stop blaming white people for being a lazy person, you are not going anywhere.
Okay,
I'm not saying you're lazy.
Good. Guys,
We ought to understand the concept economic freedom. Yes, we may have black-owned businesses.
On economic freedom, can I ask you a question?
No, wait, you will come.
Yes, I want to ask you a question specifically on that. Yes. Right? So, what do you think of America being the #1 reserve currency, where us as South Africa, we are 19 times behind the dollar, right? Whereby their labor for $1, we have to work 19 times more just to get to the level where we match them at the same exchange.
I guess.
For instance, an example, right? They give $1, one of theirs, and we have to contribute 19 of ours just to be on an equal level. What's your take on that? And then you can comment on what he said.
Those are the imperialist economic agendas that has been happening, and us as young people of today, we need to get it. I was so happy when I heard that BRICS will have its currency. If BRICS can have its own currency, we will be able to defeat
the dollar. Yes, the reserve currency.
Yes, because they are threatening us with sanctions, and those kind of things because of the imperialist agenda that they are pursuing. You understand? So, but if we can be able to be anti-imperialists and come up with strategies that can benefit our own currency, like what Muammar Gaddafi tried
to Central Bank of Africa,
and one currency that is backed by
gold. Yes, a gold standard.
Africa will be the richest continent ever because we're the only ones with minerals, we're the only ones with wealthy economic resources that can back the economics of the continent.
The economics of the continent.
USA is nothing. USA is nothing. If we can become one, United States of Africa, have one currency that is backed by its own minerals, have one central bank, one parliament, one president, we become one. We are going to defeat those imperial forces.
The imperial forces. We'll be right back after the ad break. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that bell notification so that you'll be notified, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This is Chat Talk and Chill, and stay tuned.
Welcome to Chat Talk Chill podcast with Phenyo SA23.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube and on Rumble.
Welcome back to Chat Talk and Chill, as we were currently going forth and explaining what South Africa or Africa actually is. Evans, would you want to comment to what he said? Yes.
Yes. Like he doesn't understand the concept of economic freedom. We may have, yes, black people who are
A few people there, here and there.
few black people who are currently trying to get in the market and do business, but it does not complement the total emancipation, economic emancipation of our people. Me, from the political mindset, yes, I am a political activist, and whatever I say, I'm gonna be a political side. Yes, but I've stated that politics without economics it will be like substance without symbol without substance. You understand? So what I'm trying to say is that the economic freedom, when we talk about economic freedom, especially the South African concept, the first enemy on our way to achieve that is the white establishment. I don't hate white people. I just hate
them keeping everything while else it's not fair.
Absolutely. That is economic racism. You understand? They are excluding black people in the market, outside the market. We have the economics where white people, especially the Stellenbosch mafias, who have the economics in their hands. They have centralized the economics. You understand? They have owning the mine. Actually, they're owning the strategic sector in the economy. When the EFF comes into the image and says, we need the economic freedom, it says that we need to nationalize the strategic sector in the economy. We need to have the state bank. We need to get rid of the private sector. We need to get rid of the private banks. You understand? That is what we seek to achieve. We need to have a socialist government where each and every one, regardless of your race, regardless of your skin color, regardless of your beliefs, you are going to benefit from the economics. You understand?
Thank you. Now, question that I actually have for you guys at this moment is that, so guys, there is a rumor that has that 1994 will be a revolutionary year that will lead us to 2024, which will bring revolution to South Africa. Not only South Africa, but also in America. They're having elections next year, if you're not aware of that. What do you think about the incoming elections next year?
Yeah, I kind of know them. So, it is important for people to vote. Your vote.
Yes, specifically for young people that are out there that are like, I don't know, the DA, EFF, ANC, is because I'm scared it's gonna not achieve anything, or else the EFF, it might be, proposing something that might
I will be so biased on this one because I'm very disciplined. And I know a few comrades in this room are gonna fight. But
state your opinions.
See, one is already smiling.
State your opinions.
Let's be honest.
Haters.
It is important for you as an individual to vote. Depends if you agree on this. Your vote goes a very long way. As an individual who has a say in South Africa, it is your right. It is not just your right, but your fundamental right to choose who gets to lead you. And that is your choice to make. I personally do not vote based on popularity, but I vote based on what have you done.
Action.
For example, let us say we put the top 3 political parties in our country to question, what have they all done? What have they done to influence the people to vote? Let us not lie to people and say those political parties don't have funds to fund the people. Let us not lie to people and say those political parties don't have money to bring change in the community before they even enter power. That is a lie. Those people have seats in parliament. The EFF has seats in parliament. The DA has seats in parliament. The ANC has seats in parliament, right? All those people sitting there, they have the power to change legislation. They have the power to create change in the community. They have the power to make a difference, right? My question becomes, with that power, what did they do to influence change, right?
If the ANC has been in power for over 30 years.
For a very long time,
yes.
and it has been improving on certain things, you won't come and say they haven't, right? I'm not being biased at this point. The ANC came into power, we find grants happening.
Yes.
I won't say it's an ANC thing, but it came into power, it happened. We see, what's his name, the former president, Mugabe. Is it Mugabe?
Yes, Mugabe.
In Zimbabwe. No, not Zimbabwe, South Africa. Mbeki is Mbeki. Thabo Mbeki, yes. Mbeki came into power. There is an issue that he had to deal with, which is, at that point, he had to mainly focus on HIV, the rise of HIV and AIDS.
Bring BRICS to
solution, right?
Yes.
He did that. You can't come and say he didn't do anything. Here is Evans sitting here today, very excited about BRICS, something that came about from an ANC member who was in power, right? He's excited about it.
The president who's criticizing ANC
to show
today, and he's saying,
Evans,
he's not going to support the ANC.
Evans,
So,
you know,
it's not about
individuals.
It's all about the political party that has been in power, for over 30 years. And
the political party that has been an influence and has done that. Wait, let me address this. You can't say, wait, don't suppress me. You can't say that a political party that has been in power and been doing nothing, your political party has been in office and has done nothing for the people. Why does it done for the people? That is substantial.
Let me answer you.
No, don't answer me now. No. It's very nice of you. Wait, don't shout. It's very nice of you to come throwing stones in a glass house. Sit in a brick house and then throw stones.
Because it is defending the ANC.
A young person who is going to who is going. I'm a very big sellout. If you're gonna call me a sellout, I'm a sellout with so many brown envelopes.
Okay then, I hear you.
I couldn't say I grabbed brown envelopes.
Guys,
I'm a sellout. What is a sellout? Guys, if don't play dirty politics.
It's like prior 1994 struggle.
Yes, the struggle.
If
you are mad,
listen to me.
You are drunk.
If you, as a black person, you as a black person at that time, you will support the apartheid at that time. You're going to be labeled as a seller. The ANC is suppressing us currently. It's denying us the economic freedom. If you support the ANC today, you are a sellout. That is what I'm saying in this context.
I'm finishing this off. Wait. Malima, you can't say that ANC is denying people of their access. Malima has been the president of the EFF since it began. He never even gave a young person an opportunity to become a president.
That is why after each and
still say that
every
people
MPA,
are denied access?
Malema is elected as the newly elected president.
Why?
It's allowed in the constitution.
He is allowed in the constitution. The same way in the constitution of the ANC, they are allowed to do it. Both of you, both political parties are doing the same.
Guys, still relevant. Guys, it's our president.
Guys, listen. Order. I understand, guys, this is heated. And this is politics. And if you do not interfere your life with politics, politics will interfere in your life. Our guy once said that, yes. Before you finish your statement, I just want to say, please be mindful and let one person speak at a time. Okay? Can we really stick to that rule?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you finish your statement and then?
As I was saying before, I was interrupted by a black person who blames other black people for their actions. As I was saying, is that it is important that you vote. Look at what have these people done for you as an individual.
And don't vote for them.
And vote. Don't look at what other political parties are saying, because in South Africa we have these political parties that they want to be in power, but they can't prove what they've done, but they keep bashing other political parties. That you did this, you did that. But when we ask you, show us what you did.
There's nothing on paper.
Okay, nothing on paper.
Mm.
There is nothing to show, right?
Okay.
I'm not saying there is any political party, but I'm saying there is. Get me right? But it is important to also vote with understanding of knowing what politics is. Politics will always be dirty. Politics will always not favor you sometimes. But vote with an understanding of knowing that there will be change after casting your vote.
Thank you. Evans,
Yes.
what's your take on that?
I think some of the things comrade is saying there is just being hallucinating.
Wait.
You understand? We need to do away with being hallucinating when we speak. Because the EFF has done a lot of things as an opposition
I
that
never
should
mentioned
have
the
been
political
done
party though.
What?
by the ruling party. You understand? I'll take you from look at the houses that were built by the EFF.
Let's talk
Okay,
about
hold on.
But we have agreed
Let's
that
talk
we
about
will
Hold on.
interact one another.
Wait. Yes.
Let us
keep
talk
going.
about the EFF houses that were built by the EFF, built for.
Where were
people,
these houses?
regardless of whether you are an EFF member or not.
Where were these houses built?
This house is KZN, where the house that was built in 2019, where the house that were built in Limpopo as well, Gauteng. We have recently the councillor Mafia Fani, who donated a house to an old lady who has been staying in the shack for quite more than 40 years now. A councillor who just got elected last year. The EFF funded that person as the councillor of the month, that he must go and do a community project with that 50,000. A councillor could imagine, a councillor, not even a person who's leading in a national level, a councillor of the EFF could go and donate a house. What does that tell you about the quality of the leadership in the organization? We have quality leaders, people who are capable. Let us talk about the councillors who could go and unblock storages. A councillors who do not wait for tenders to unblock storages. We have councillors who are now on the ground. Yes, and go and unblock storages. The deputy chairperson of Gauteng in the EFF is now on the ground unblocking storages in the communities in Gauteng. We talk about people who believe that we do not need tenders to get the job done. That is why the EFF is anti-tender system, because we're saying that we need to do away with the tender
without being paid. Just do your duty.
Do your job. The government is capable of doing these things. You understand? We do not need any tenderpreneur to come and do the job.
Okay.
We can just permanently employ our people. And then
Good.
we do have also an Andristatan campaign. We clean up communities every Saturday.
Good.
You understand?
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. And also, I just wanna ask this question here. It's very important. Do you think that the problem with politics is before we wait.
This one needs to be addressed.
Yes, before we go, wait. Do you think politics has a problem in the municipal level, or it has a problem at the national level? Just quick. Give me a 2 second response. What do you think?
I start nationally influences
The municipal level.
If the national cannot hold the municipalities
accountable, then the municipalities
yes, I
will
mean, I
have
can
a
give you
problem.
the example in the EFF system. We have what we call democratic centralism, where the leadership of the highest structure has to account and hold accountable.
The lower structures are accountable.
You understand? So if the highest body cannot discipline the lower structure, then we are going to have a problem. That is why we are having municipalities under the ANC,
whereby they do nothing.
They are rotten to the core.
Eat money.
Yes, they are rotten to the core. There are only few municipalities that pass audits.
Here and there.
Here and there, you understand? The rest, where the ANC is leading, the municipalities do not pass audit. You understand? That is the fact that we need, as young people, need to talk
say
about.
we
need
need
to
to
speak.
we
We need
need-
to speak the power to the truth to the power.
To the power.
Yes.
Okay then. So what you're saying basically is that the national level needs to hold the municipal level accountable.
Absolutely.
And if the national level is corrupt, basically the municipal level will also be corrupt.
That is why
Same instances as the CADA deployment that was deployed by President Jacob Zuma and all other deployments that were done. Lucky, what do you think of the following statement that my friend just said? And also, what do you think on the development of South Africa? Do you think that once the national is corrupt, or the national is corrupt, the municipal will also be corrupt? Or do you think that, how can we basically solve this problem?
Wow. I'll answer you after I've answered this. I will give you a house. You know why? Because I want self-clearance. I will give you a house. You know why? Because I want to reduce my tax. You know what I'll do? I will build you a house. Because you know what it's called? Community outreach.
Corporate social
responsibility.
Yes.
You know, let us not be fooled and lied to by people who think that they will manipulate us and brainwash us to think that we're stupid. We're not stupid. We are humans who think. You can't come and tell me that by giving one individual a house that you stayed in is something that is massively big, that we should applaud you for. Yeah, we will applaud you. Yes, you gave that person a house. Wonderful. It's you giving back to the community. As a counselor, as a whatever you are, whatever position you have the means to do so, you can do it. Let me ask you this question. How many houses has the ANC given the people? Right?
Residential development policy.
That is something that people have been doing, right? That has been happening, right? And let us not only talk about the residential development, let us also talk about the personal things that they have done. Let's go to, if you think I don't know places, I know places, I know things. I was just Googling some of them right now. There in Soweto, how many people received houses, not under RDP, but under the leadership of Mr. Ramaphosa, in his personal capacity? Let's talk about this. We have
the achievements that
personal one, on personal level, right? Let's talk about the Mandela, what you call this, Ramaphosa Foundation. That is not funded by ANC.
That funds students to go to.
It's not funded by ANC. It's funded by Ramaphosa and his people, his sponsors. And let me tell you this, I don't think I've heard any member of the EFF who is a foundation.
Okay, good.
But let me answer you on the second question of corruption going down. Let us not lie and say people are not corrupt. Evans here is a student. I come to him and say, NSFAS has defunded you. I'm giving you 100,000 right now to fund you. Do you want to pay for me? Do you think he won't do it? He will do it, right?
I'm not corrupt.
He's not corrupt. He's saying this on camera because
I'm not
it's camera.
corrupt. No, I'm not corrupt.
But let's
show me where I was corrupt.
Let's
until an individual.
There is not even a single proof that I was corrupt.
It's a hypothetical.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Let's learn to use dictionaries. Let's learn to use dictionaries. Let's open those orange English books.
Yes.
For literal terms and metaphors.
I know
they are important, but
the way
let's not reason like
no. Okay, listen.
Let's go back to the line.
Let's.
To answer your question about corruption, it's not that the national level corrupts the
municipal level.
It's an individual thing. There are people who are in power in national level who are not corrupt, and we can't say that because one individual is corrupt, all of them are corrupt. Same thing applies.
One apple spoils.
That's a lie. That's a very big lie. What happens to the top apple? The rotten apple is at the bottom. The top apple won't be
affected.
It's not affected. This is something we need to put into reality. I can't say events. This is hypothetical. It's an example. It's an example. It's not realistic. You don't argue it. For example, in the EFF, events, they are an organization, right, with people. Events won't agree with us if we say Jabu is corrupt. This means that the whole EFFS is corrupt. You know why? Because it's Jabu who's corrupt.
But then
It's not EFF. That's
If
correct.
you're saying that, then wouldn't you then say, Jorge, if one person did apartheid, then all of them did apartheid?
Same thing applies. This is where I'm going to. You give a perfect example. During apartheid, there were white people who were
fought
fighting against their own white
Okay.
people, right? Saying that what you're doing is wrong. This is not humanity. You see, should I reference? If you go read this book called Cry My Beloved Country, I forgot the priest, that white priest. He fought for black people. This is the reference. Go read the book. Some of us read. And we read with understanding. We don't read to fight white people. We read to know what happened. Not everyone fought black people and saying, you guys are kafirs. No. Some people even hated their own people for saying it. To show that you can't blame everyone for one person's sin. I'm not saying it was one person who started apartheid. It's a lot of them. There are many. They will be held accountable. Their fate came. Same thing with corruption. You can't say national level is corrupting municipal level. It applies with you. Do you think your parents have corrupted you? Do you think you are living to your parents' way of the way they wanted you to live? Oh,
Good. Yes.
I think Jabu, Lucky is interpreting what we say. We talked about accountability.
Accountability, yes.
That obviously, if the national government
Is
corrupt, they can't hold
The
corruption.
the cadre deployment is an example.
Absolutely. You are corrupt. How can you hold me accountable if you are corrupt?
For instance, Jacob Zuma being corrupt, and then how can you hold Isma Khashoggi
And
or
others.
have those people been
And then
for being guilty for corruption?
We have clarified it. You understand that? For as long as the national government is corrupt, there is no way they're going to hold
the
municipality.
Then it comes to the
Yes,
the people who are in the municipalities
given
are
wait,
also corrupt.
You're given a chance to speak.
Wait,
That's what I say.
You're given a chance to speak. Can I speak?
Do you want to fight?
I'm not
No,
fighting. Why should I fight?
Honorable
Then don't
members,
fight.
I'm a political activist.
Don't fight.
I engage.
Let me peaceful about it. Don't fight.
let's hear
Understand?
finish. Yes.
Coming to the issue of housing. Look at the housing that were built by the ANC since 1994. The ANC will give you a matchbox and say it's a house. It do away with the dignity of black people. Go and look at the houses that were built by the EFF. I will send you the pictures. The houses with dignity, houses with corners, so that when you have something in the house, if you have kids, they can't hear what you are doing because the house is big. You understand? And then again, when we talk about the EFF houses, we talk about the houses that have toilets inside. The ANC gives you a house, the matchbox without a toilet. We still do have others who do not even have a flushing toilet, even to date. You understand?
Good.
So it goes with what type of government is this? Why? Tenders. They give you a tender.
And then you chow
take
them out.
a certain amount. Maybe you chow a man of toilet. Then you build a house without a toilet. And a house that is a matchbox. You understand? So that you can have change.
I hear you.
So the EFF seeks to say there is no tender that is going to work under the EFF government. We are going to have an independent state that is going to do for its people, regardless of the private.
Good. Now, Evans, I want to ask you about the policy that the EFF will implement once Malema gets into power.
Yes.
And it's also stressing me. It might not also be stressing me. It might be stressing you too, and other South Africans that are out there. It's the open border policy of South Africa borders being open, while else South Africa yet is still a developing nation.
Yes.
And us opening borders for people would lead us to, like, we're still struggling with unemployment, poverty, and all these other types of stuff.
Yes.
Why? And I understand that it's elitism where the Europeans brought it to say we're dividing Africa with borders because of we don't want them to unite. What's your take on that?
There you're talking about the revolutionary internationalism.
Yes.
That is in the EFF policies. It seeks to advocate for the United States of Africa. It doesn't mean when the EFF gets in power, it says,
open borders, and then everyone can come in.
It doesn't work that way. You understand?
Mm.
The EFF will use its influence in the government to come and say, let all the states come under one roof and we make Africa one. That is what it seeks to achieve. I've emphasized it a lot in this interview. United States of Africa, Republic United States of Africa, one president, one parliament, one currency, one central bank currency
by minerals
backed by its minerals, you understand, of Africa. So that is what the EFF seeks to achieve through revolutionary internationalism, you understand, to bring Africans together so that we can conquer imperialism, colonialism, and other imperial
systems.
Yes.
Okay, Lucky, I want to ask you, do you think then within our context of the ANC being in power and the Freedom Charter, which was stating that we all need to get equality, right? Do you think equality will ever be achieved if the ANC keeps remaining in power? And do you think that we can have equality without equal accountability in our society in terms of politics and the rest of the things in general?
You know how to play that, you know. Did Evans buy you? How much did he give you?
Yeah, he was never bought me. Can you answer the question?
I'm going to take
Answer the question.
Find a good lawyer first.
Answer the question.
Honestly speaking, we have not reached the point of everyone is equal. We are growing. It's at that stage. That's why we find so many more.
Yeah, but how long can we be going? 30 years is not enough.
Rome was not built in one day.
But it fell on one.
That's the thing. It fell in one day, but it was not built in one day.
Okay.
With ANC being in power, it means change to people. There's so many things that have been changing. So many things every day keep changing, and for the better of the people.
But don't you think that we've shifted far away from the Freedom Charter?
Not really. It's a thing of we are now coming to the point of where we find loopholes that you want to use and say we are running away from it. No, we're not. We are just leaving to even broaden it, to say this is what we're expecting. We're expecting everybody to be equal in every sense. But do you think we can achieve that equality when we haven't even reached the minimum requirements of giving out the scarce resources we have in
like economic freedom?
You see, if we are still fighting for that, do you think we will achieve the other freedom? You know, I'm not saying people we are not economically free, because everybody is allowed to enter a market and leave the market.
But then,
you know,
how many people? Let me ask you this, right? Why are you then considering the rule of the minority people that are economically free over the majority that don't have funds or that don't have?
Let us shy away.
For instance, let me make an example, specifically on the African context. Ramaphosa said at the French conference that we were beggars as Africa, right? We were beggars because we could not make our own vaccine. We had to beg them for the vaccine. Like we cannot create our own. We were not liberated. Do you think that the ANC will bring liberation through its own policies?
Yes, it will. And I'm just going to leave it there. Yes, it will. And if you're trying to trick me to speak ill of the ANC, forget about it. Dream it. Think about it one day. It won't happen. I'm just going to say this. The ANC will achieve the freedom that it opted for when the Freedom Charter started. And it will happen. And to even answer you said something about...
Okay, wait.
You said something about the borders being opened. It's now going to be a question that you allow people who keep coming in the country when you're failing to even sustain your own people. Yes, we open the borders, they come to South Africa. And then how many South Africans are going to suffer? Are you going to be able to control that? Are you going to be able to control that flow of people when you fail to even control your own
60 million people?
You see? Imagine now we have 16 million people.
60
60 in South Africa. How many people are in other countries that are going
That want to come here because
You see,
Africa is the
already,
capital.
I'm not xenophobic.
Yes.
I'm not xenophobic. I'm not against other African countries. But this is reality.
Let's
We can't open borders for other people when we are failing to control
The
things
people
that
that
happen
we
within
have.
our own borders. Events, you cry and say that black people can't open businesses, right? South Africans on its own. What's going to happen when other national people come into South Africa, take over the land and start building their businesses, and your own South Africans suffer? Will you still say that your fighting was justified?
was
I
justified.
think he's misinterpreting the revolutionary internationalism.
I'm not
I
even
did clarify-
misinterpreting anything.
I did clarify that the EFF, when it gets in power,
It's not necessarily opening the borders for everyone.
yes,
It's just
it's saying we are going to advocate for the Republic's United States
states
of,
of
Africa.
having one economic freedom.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the EFF that is why on the EFF logo, I'm sorry I did not.
So
put
you're
the
not going to
EFF
open
there.
borders for everyone?
Listen,
And
No, wait.
Answer.
it's not your show.
Wait,
It's not a show,
wait,
but I know
wait,
you're
wait,
open
wait. Let's
Not
go.
your show.
Keep going.
Listen.
On the logo of the EFF
On the logo of the EFF,
is a mine.
there is an African map. That African map, when we interpret, it represents a fertile African land, which means that it represents Africa and diaspora as a whole.
as a whole.
You understand?
Africa as a
That
whole.
we need to have the economic, because the political freedom started on the other side. Now time changes, the material conditions dictate that the economic freedom will come from the south. You understand? So it's going to be that the EFF is going to govern next year. Then therefore the economic freedom will go until Africa is emancipated.
Evans, I wanna ask you this. then.
Yes.
What happens if the EFF loses?
The EFF won't lose.
No.
Look at
No.
No, you can't
Answer my question.
You can't be telling
Answer
me
my question.
to prepare
Answer my
that
question.
the
Answer my
EFF
question.
The EFF won't
What
lose.
happens if it loses?
It won't lose. I don't believe that it won't lose. So I can't answer that question.
It's a possibility.
No.
Right?
For me, the EFF is
Do you
going to
think it's
govern this
impossible?
country. Look at the universities are taken by the EFF.
So then if it loses, I will hold you
That's the only
accountable.
few
How
universities
about
that
I'll
are controlled.
hold you accountable.
Universities where
Not this university. How many is this?
Whoa,
look at the universities where the elections are free, fair, and transparent. The EFFS is taking over.
Okay,
Look at the
don't
UP.
put that in-
For the first time today,
Don't put that
UP
in-
results were
in the
unleashed.
thingy.
The
Don't-
EFFSC took all seats. The day before yesterday, the final results of the UN were unleashed. The EFFSC took the majority.
The majority.
Look at the University of Free State. The EFFSC took all seats. Look at the TUT. The EFFSC took majority of the seats.
Good.
So it's
Good.
preparing
That's
a
good, huh?
victory
Okay,
next
then.
year.
Not
The
that university,
EFFSC has now, the EFF has
that
now
university,
initiated my phase election campaign.
Thank
that
you
we're
very
going
much.
to start with campaigning for next year.
Thank you very much.
EFF is going to govern. 2024 is our 1994.
Okay.
You know, I love
So
people who-
let me hear your opinion. What happens if the ANC loses?
You know, it's something that you keep saying. What happens if you lose?
Yes.
In politics, you never lose.
You never
because
lose.
You will always have seats in
In parliament, yes.
And when you have seats in parliament, you have influence in the laws. We are not like other political parties who believe that you having the president of the country, you can't control the laws.
Thank you very much.
You know, let me answer you on this one, and let me correct you on something that people, you need to be educated on. This is something that we need to also educate ourselves on. Having a president that comes from a political party, that does not mean that political party won. It only means that they were able to get the president. But all the other political parties won because, what's going on?
Just keep going.
All the other political parties were able to get seats in parliament. Please control the rope.
Keep going. Pedro, just hold the rope.
So it's a matter of, we are going to say that the DA can't do anything because, they didn't have presidents. That's a lie. They are in office. They were able to get there, right? You being in office, that means that you have won already. You won something. Same thing applies into politics. Same thing applies here in the institutional level. You know, it's something that is funny that he says that there's a university that has elections that are not free and fair. Please, he should say that statement publicly and release a video. We want to know which one.
Okay then, thank you very much.
Let me answer you. They failed to get at least one seat in the campus that he's in.
Okay then.
And they still say
yes, we'll close right there.
Wait,
let me close it. Guys, listen. Guys, listen.
The election results, right?
Listen.
When we assess the election result, look at the EFFSC at Val campus. How long have it been?
It's been here for 2 years or 3 years.
How long has it been in the ballot?
It's been for 2 years.
No.
EFF.
We've spent more than 3 years, 3 consecutive years of not contesting.
Right.
Look at the numbers. After that,
he said EFF.
3 consecutive years of not contesting
When
elections.
my sisters were still here.
You. It's not possible for you to go exactly and usher a victory, but there is a certain percentage of numbers that you gain
throughout.
You understand?
So
from us, it's a win because we've gained a lot of numbers.
Good.
And it paved the way for even HKs that were rest assured that we're going to govern house committees. You understand?
Good.
But looking at how the elections were conducted, how the electoral process were conducted as well, the elections were not fair. And I maintain that. I take responsibility for that. The door-to-door was not allowed. How is that possible in the democratic? We are not allowed to campaign freely. You understand? So the EFF has potential of making elections to be exciting, but they were denied that thing. But look at Mafike.
Mafike campus. It's the one that's ruling.
Our 5 cadres were disqualified. Why?
Oh.
5. We won seats. Why were 5 cadres disqualified?
Good.
We won 13 seats.
Oh.
Why was 5 comrades disqualified?
I hear
Is a
you.
question. You understand?
Evans.
So, I know you want to wrap up, but you ought to understand that when you get in power,
Revolution
next year,
starts.
2024, when the EFF gets president, is going to get ministers. That is a
Good.
political power.
Okay.
Can I better know
Good.
this?
Good.
If EFF takes president next year, babes, I'll give you 5,000 cash.
And it's on the
Okay,
record.
good. Guys,
on the record.
listen. It's on the record.
Yeah.
We have it.
Yeah,
But don't put it on live. Listen, guys.
Yeah,
This is a bait.
Listen, this is the last and closing remarks, right? What do you want to leave the audience with? Is there one inspiring quote that you want to leave them with?
That we all live in a generation that is messed up. And when one sees no future, one has to do the next great thing or the next right thing. And this is a quote from the great Pablo. I watch a lot of cartoons. But yeah. So it's important that when we see no future, we need to take the first step of making sure that the future we envision comes to play.
What is one thing that you want to leave with your audience?
Yes, because
Something that is powerful.
I seek to politicize young people of South Africa. I will say this. The South African economic system excludes black people, and we need what we call economic freedom. That economic freedom, black and white are going to benefit in it. So it is very important for us as black people in South Africa and Africa to participate in politics and bear the generational mission and carry out the generational mission to achieve the economic freedom in our lifetime. Frantz Fanon once said in his writing that each and every generation has to identify a generational mission and then later determine whether it pursue that generational mission or betray it. So let us pursue our generational mission of economic freedom in our lifetime.
That was it from Chat Talk and Chill. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Phenyo_SA23. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. I hope that you have a safe week and enjoy yourself. Stay safe. Cheers.